4th Down on 4.
Welcome in to 4th Down on 4. We're upstairs again, still because of the election set using our original set. The Saints' most impressive win of the season comes a day after the worst defeat in Les Miles' time at Baton Rouge. What went wrong at the Swamp? We'll rip open that scab later in the show, as well as rehash Tulane's tough night in El Paso. We begin, however, with the Saints. Penalties and turnovers have been the difference between winning and losing thus far for the team. Today, they minimized the yellow flags and eliminated the giveaways, giving themselves a much-needed win. With bated breath today, Hoodats watched the Saints go 3 and out on their first possession, then watched Oakland go up 3 after their first drive. The Superdome faithful then squirmed even more after 2 holding calls on Jamal Brown pushed Taylor Melhoff's first career field goal back just enough to make him pull the kick wide right.
And that is no good.
The team's slow start quickly sped up, however. The Saints went on their longest drive of the season. 18 plays, 86 yards, taking up almost the entire second quarter. More important, no penalties. 4 third-down conversions, and instead of a missed field goal, Melhoff would cap off this drive with a PAT after Reggie Bush's touchdown.
I think it started there, and from there on throughout the game, it seemed like we were able to control the clock pretty good, and just run the clock down. Control it, manage the clock, manage the ball, not turn it over. That's it.
We kind of had it scripted out as to the flow of the game and the plays we wanted to call and the guys we wanted to get the ball to, and I felt like we were very efficient all day long.
And on that drive, Breeze was a perfect 8 for 8. For the day, he was almost perfect. Breeze's first incompletion came with 1 minute left in the first half. During one stretch, number 9 had 16 straight completions, one short of the team record, which he owns as well.
Somebody had mentioned something, maybe in the second quarter. I kind of felt like, there hadn't been an incompletion yet, but I didn't know how many there were. And I was trying to complete them all.
And he almost did, missing on just 4 attempts. After the game, in typical perfectionist style, Breeze remembered each one.
Could have thrown a better ball to Reggie. One of them, the DB made a nice play, knocked it down. One of them was a throwaway. Really, 2 of them were throwaways. So those were the 4 incompletions.
His decisions were outstanding, and it was a big part of us winning. So, we'll have a chance to look at it. And I really don't like comparing it versus other games, but certainly he played outstanding.
Breeze's 26 completions went to 9 different players, and the Saints' efficiency was also seen on the ground. 33 carries, 122 yards. The numbers not flashy, but enough.
When you win the turnovers, when you win the third downs, when you win the penalties, when you win the time of possession, when you win the rushing, when you win all those areas, you're generally winning the game. I thought we played with good energy. I thought we looked like the team that had the bye, not them. I thought we looked like the team that was healthy, not them.
And the question is now, can they continue to look like that kind of team as they go on a 4-game swing that will keep them away from the Superdome until November 24th. Look inside the numbers. Breeze, another 300-yard passing game. He tosses 3 touchdowns as well. Reggie Bush, 18 touches, 75 yards. Nothing explosive, but he does find the end zone twice. Lance Moore continues to play solid in the absence of Marcus Colston. 7 grabs, 97 yards. We're joined now in studio, Times-Picayune columnist Jeff Duncan. Thanks for joining us. And this 3 games home stretch that the Saints just had, they go 2-1. It was important for them to at least go 2-1. Now, obviously, they would have liked to have gone 3-0. But is 2-1 good enough for this team, considering how good now the NFC South is starting to look?
Well, I really think they would rather be 4-2, and I think they felt like they needed to get off to a good start because the back end of the schedule is a little tougher than I think the front end. At least initially, we thought it was going to be. And I really feel like they kind of gave one away against Minnesota, and I think the team feels that way. But I do think there's an opportunity for them now coming up against Carolina to go and get a big road win and get back in the thick of this NFC South race.
And it's going to be an interesting race to watch because I don't think a lot of people expected this to be as competitive a division. But there's a chance right now that if this league continues, maybe the wild card comes out of the South, which no one would have ever thought. Do you think this trend will continue, or do you think every team right now has just caught a few lucky breaks and it's just happened to be playing really well right now?
Well, I think clearly the South is much better than everyone thought. I don't think anybody thought that Atlanta was going to be as good as they are, or Tampa Bay. And these teams are legitimate. I mean, they're beating good quality opponents. I think at this point, 6 games in, everybody is legitimately a solid team. Now, do they have the depth? Are injuries going to start to pile up on some of these teams? That's going to be, I think, to be determined, and we'll see how that factors out. But the division, I think, is still going to be too tough for two teams to get in the playoffs. I really think that they're going to start beating up on each other, and the losses are going to start to be too much to overcome.
I think the Saints are hoping that they were the team that has initially gone through the injury bug. They'll start getting players back, then maybe everyone else in the division starts to catch back up. One guy that really can't get hurt if you're a Saints fan or a member of the team is Drew Brees. And here's a guy I don't think a lot of people are talking about the season that he's having, the decisions that he's making. I think you've got to put it up there as one of, right now, 6 games into it, one of the best seasons a quarterback's had in NFL history.
I totally agree, Scott. I think it's being overlooked right now on a national basis. If Drew Brees were playing in a bigger market or for a 5-1 team right now, he'd be the story of the league. And I think it's going to happen as they get more wins. The spotlight's going to get on Drew Brees because his decision-making is off the charts. His efficiency rating, I know, is not as high as some of the other quarterbacks because he's taken some interceptions from tip balls and Hail Marys and some things that really aren't his fault. But what he's been able to do with a perimeter skill group of mainly backup guys right now. He hasn't had Jeremy Shockey for a large number of games. Same with Marcus Colston. Yet the efficiency has not dropped off at all. It's really a credit to what he's able to do. He makes everybody else on that team better, and I think you and I could run patterns and get open for him.
I don't know about you, and I don't think I could. But I mean, I think you termed it loosely with backup. I mean, a lot of these are number 3 guys on a lot of other teams with Lance Moore and all those guys, and he's making them look good. And you brought up the point that perhaps his Carolina game is when Colston and Shockey start coming back. I mean, what can we expect from this offense that really hasn't missed a beat when it's missed its 2 biggest weapons?
Well, I think what those 2 guys will bring, Colston and Shockey, is a much better red zone efficiency. Those guys are red zone targets. I really don't think they can get a whole lot better on offense.
Yeah.
I mean, they're piling up yards and they're leading the league right now in yardage. So they're not going to get a whole lot better. But I think the playmaking ability those guys have, and it's also going to create some more opportunities in the running game because right now I think teams don't really fear a lot of the passing game. I think they're playing to stop Reggie Bush right now. They're not going to be able to do that on defense with those 2 guys in the passing game.
Especially around the end zone. Real quick, Taylor Melhoff, is he going to be the guy that sticks throughout the rest of the 16-game schedule?
That's to be determined. I mean, he's got to hit a pressure kick. I think we're going to find out about him when he has to win a game for him, and that's a long way off.
Yeah, missed his first one, made the next 2 after that, and he's got a big leg. We'll see how Taylor Melhoff can do as the season continues. Jeff Duncan's with us. 4th down rolls on after the break. Still ahead, the offense may get the headlines, but it's the black and gold's defense that deserves the love. We'll break down the D's performance when we return. Jamarcus Russell's return to the Dome a little less than spectacular. We'll hear from the former LSU star. Speaking of the Tigers,
hey, those guys get paid to do their job, and we just got to bet ourselves. When we're in that position to go out and just make plays. He got a good team. He did a good job with his offense, but I have my own team to worry about, and while they're on the field, I'm thinking with my coach of the next plays to go out there and to execute. So it's not really what Drew Brees is doing. I'm focused on his defense. It's disappointing with a family there or not. A loss like today, man, hey, it's still a loss in the category. So whether to play like I wanted to or not, I'm pretty sure everybody want to win. You're going to have times when things go bad. Like I say, you just got to move forward and just everything's not going to be perfect the way you draw it up. So you just got to work hard from that and keep going.
one day after his alma mater gets swallowed at the Swamp, Jamarcus Russell pretty much lays an egg in the Dome. 13 of 35 for a $159 and a pick. His worst game of the season. Despite injuries along the front, middle, and back of the Saints defense, that unit continues to show improvement each week. Today, no big plays were given up, and even a few big plays of their own were made. Juan Kincaid with more on what has been done and what still needs to be done with the Saints D.
Everybody's been kind of on us saying how defense not doing what we're supposed to do. So
tired of hearing it.
Yeah, you get tired of hearing it.
And the only way to quiet their many critics is by making plays.
The four picks out there on the field, really 4 cupcakes.
Over the past few weeks, it's been about creating opportunities and then taking them for the Saints. Stat-wise, the numbers are starting to jump off the page. 9 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions in their last 3 games. What they've been able to do is make teams one-dimensional, taking away the run, forcing teams to beat them with the pass. And the Saints are winning the majority of those battles, too.
We started now to develop a culture on the defensive side where, it's not good to give up 100-some-odd yards rushing. It's not good to give up 300-some-odd yards passing. We're trying to be one of the top-tier defenses, and, we're developing towards that. And as you said, the next thing is making plays on the deep ball, making the big plays when we need to instead of giving them up.
Saints players say 3 weeks ago is when the light finally went on. That's when they realized to find success, they had to start doing what they do best.
What we do best is we fly around. We have a lot of smart players that know what they're supposed to do, know where they're supposed to be at, and as long as we do that, that's going to be our team, a fast team that plays smart and doesn't beat ourselves.
Confidence is a big thing, but we've also found out what we do well, and the coaches kind of getting an idea of what we do well and making those calls. I think that's a big part of it.
The confidence has been an ever-growing thing with this team, but lately, win or lose, the Saints' D has been ever-present. It's almost as if they've decided that playing second fiddle to the offense has gotten old.
It's better to actually sit in the back, just let them guys get a lot of credit. Let's go out there and do what we got to do, not make mistakes and shut some teams out, and not give up many points, and just go out there and play ball. I mean, bottom line, we want to win. That's all that matters. I don't care who gets the credit.
I mean that the defense is getting better. The defense is getting confidence, and overall, next week we're looking to play Carolina, and we're looking for the carryover to Carolina.
With Jeff Duncan, and this defense, obviously they can get better, but you heard Jonathan say it, we've got to start making plays, and I think you're starting to see them chip away at perhaps becoming not maybe one of these better defenses, but at least one of the average defenses that the Saints need right now.
Well, they need a defense that can step up and make plays, and we saw it in the game, much of the game. First series when Oakland's going down trying to get a touchdown, you see Roman Harper drop a ball in the end zone. He dropped 2 balls that it should have been interceptions. Josh Bullock dropped 1, Jason David dropped one, but later got an interception. But the thing that's important right now is they're getting in the right position to make plays. How many times we talked about a Saints defense in the past hasn't even gotten in position to make a play, much less make a play. So it's a step-by-step process with the football team. Get in position, then make the play. And they're going to make more the way they're playing right now.
Well, let's be Debbie Downer real quick, Jeff. And I think it's easy for a team to get confident against J.T. O'Sullivan, Gus Frerotte, and Jamarcus Russell today. Is that more of what we're seeing, or are we seeing this defense legitimately getting better to play against Jake Delhomme and some other guys down the road?
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, a lot of teams go against the Minnesota Vikings and still give up big yards to Adrian Peterson. Mm-hmm. They all know that the strength of that offense is the running game, and they're still not able to stop it. And so you have to give some credit to the Saints defense. They've not given up any big runs. I think the longest run they've given up in the last 2 weeks is 8 yards. So that's pretty sound defense. I don't care who you're playing. But I do think that other teams that are going to be more balanced on offense, have a better passing attack, it's going to create some more problems for them, because right now they're able to play Roman Harper down near the line of scrimmage and without much fear of getting beat deep.
Let me piggyback on that for a second. We talk about them doing against the teams like the Jamarcus Russell and the Vikings, but in the past, this team was always getting beat up by those teams that weren't so good. It was the bad teams that we expect them to win football games against and do it partly on defense, and they still couldn't get it done. Mm-hmm. It goes back to the year where they were in position to make the playoffs and lose their last 3 games to teams like, the Cincinnati Bengals, teams that they should be beating, and the defense not stepping up then. So I don't care who they do it against. Just get the job done on defense and build off of that. It's about getting confidence back.
What's more important, the way Jonathan Vilma's going to play the rest of this season, or the way Randall Gay and Jason David have to stand up in Tracy Porter's absence?
Oh, I think the back end has to hold up. Mm-hmm. I mean, to me, that's the most important thing.
Vilma's going to be there.
Yeah, Vilma's a solid player, and he's going to do what he needs to do every week, I think. They've got to start making plays in the back end. Juan made a very good point. The next step for this defense is now to start making plays, and they have not been able to do that since Sean Payton's been the coach.
And it's good to see Jason David. That interception he had is
going
to
to build
his
today,
confidence.
and it wasn't a Bronx cheer.
There were no boos at all for him today. And it's good to see him have a decent game. Every now and then he'll sneak up and surprise you and get an interception or make a good pass defense. They're going to need more of that, because you don't know how quick Aaron Glenn's going to come back. Obviously, you lost Porter on that position, so the guys you have right now is what you're going to have to try to get to the playoffs. And Jason Davis is going to need to play well. He's going to need to play well in nickel and dime one-on-one situations, and heaven forbid he may need to play well in a man-on-man situation once in a while.
All right, Juan Kincaid, thanks so much for your reporting today. Jeff Duncan will stay right with us. We're coming back much more. We're going to talk a little Jim Haslett after the break.